So, as you can see, we are on our way to Val'sharah. Because, of course, that's where both Malfurion and Tyrande
What the?
are.
What jokes to spread so many acorns in?
Oh, man. I'm... uh... You know, in some ways I've been looking forward to doing this quest because this is a great quest. Especially for players like myself who just... I think I've made it pretty obvious that I'm a fan of Illidan. He's one of my absolute favorite characters ever in Warcraft. And this is us essentially saying goodbye to him. But it's also him saying goodbye to us. But also, there's something else about this. And I relate to it, but it also irritates me in terms of the reactions we're going to get from Malfurion and Tyrande. Have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you're not going to get another chance to really tell someone how you feel, or that you want to clear up the air about something because there's been some bad history between you, and you end up just wanting to kind of open yourself up and pour your heart out to be able to let them know what your true feelings are because you may not get another chance? That's kind of what Illidan is wanting to do here. That's why he entrusted this task to us. And the reactions from Malfurion and Tyrande... Well, maybe once you hear the message that Illidan gives them, you'll probably understand. But, yeah. Don't be surprised if this quest gets to me, because of how much Illidan really pours himself out here. So I'm going to start here with Malfurion, and then we're going to go to Tyrande.
The soul of our world is in agony.
Yeah, he can sense what happened in Silithus with the sword.
I must protect the wild.
The world cries out to us. We must fight to save it. Illidan requested that I bring this crystal to you.
May the winds be at your back. The crystal. It rings out with a familiar voice.
Malfurion, even in the womb we grappled with one another. Struggle has followed us all our lives. The teachings of Cenarius were always your path. I felt another calling. It was power I sought, but not to conquer or rule. It was a means to an end. To save Azeroth from an unstoppable foe. You never trusted my intentions, though I suppose I did not make it easy for you. But now, as my fate becomes clear, I wish to quiet the strife that has long divided us. Even when the Legion is gone, new threats will arise. There is no one I trust to face them, more than you, brother. You have spent a lifetime fighting for the dream of what Azeroth could be. Now you must fight for what it is. Take care of Tyrande. Listen to her counsel. She was always the best of us. The road
I don't know
ahead
about that,
will
Illidan.
be long. Whatever comes, bring honor to the name Stormrage.
My brother made selfish choices, caused pain to so many. His transgressions are difficult to forgive. And yet, there were times when we fought for a common cause, a shared purpose. Those were good days. Now is not the time to ponder personal regrets. We must see to healing the world, champion.
Kind of mixed there. You know, he's all this. Illidan has always been Malfurion's like weak spot, and he wasn't necessarily like, you know, completely rejecting it, but you know, he's like, you know, some of the choices he made, he's like, well, it's sometimes difficult to forgive some of the things he did. But you know, then he thinks back to the time when they actually fought together, remembering the good times. So, not exactly the best reaction I would have wanted from Malfurion, from his brother basically not just pouring his heart out to, you know, to reach his hand out and make amends, to mend the fence between them, to not let this, you know, negative strife between them divide them anymore. He, you know, he wanted to truly make things right with his brother. And Malfurion doesn't exactly receive it very well. But that, of course, pales in comparison to Tyrande. Now, I've never been shy about my dislike of Tyrande. Ever since Warcraft 3, I have vehemently disliked Tyrande. Many of the things she says and goes about way, you know, various different things has always just annoyed me and irritated me to no end. And I've always thought, Illidan, you gotta we gotta move on, man. You can do better than her. I mean, I mean, I can understand, you know, that she was his first love and she fell for his brother instead. I get it, but ugh.
In my lifetime, I have twice witnessed a sundering of the world. Mother Moon, I pray I do not see a third. We are the children of Elune.
Illidan requested that I bring this crystal to you, Tyrande.
Heed the voice of Elune. I sense a sorcerer's touch upon this crystal.
Tyrande, long ago, you trusted me enough to defy Malfurion's wishes and free me from my prison. But over time, that faith was lost. And like my brother, you came to believe that the choices I made had driven me to darkness. Know that every path I took led toward a single purpose: saving our world. I could abide no half measures, no compromise. At those times when I faced doubt, I held true to one constant, one anchor. You have always embodied the best of Azeroth, Tyrande. Your
Come on,
faith,
Illidan.
your devotion, through the darkest times. My belief in you never wavered. My fate, my duty, are now clear to me. I leave Azeroth's defense to you, and to my brother. Take care of him, Tyrande. Though at times I wished your heart had made a different choice. In the end, I know it made the right one.
Man.
Contrite words. Yet I must wonder whether he truly meant them.
Oh, shut up,
After Illidan faced
Tyrande.
defeat atop the Black Temple, I tried to let go of my feelings, my distrust and bitterness. When I learned that he was alive, leading the fight against the Legion on the Broken Shore, I could not bring myself to speak to him. The time for talk
course
has
not.
passed. Seems he has a duty to fulfill. As do we. Let us be about it, champion. It is my
You know what?
honor to
Nope,
serve
nope.
Elune.
I
Ishnu
don't want...
Allah.
No, no.
Elune, light your way.
There. You deserve that for your response just now. Pours his heart out to her in one last goodbye, telling her one last time how much she meant to him, and she questions whether or not he meant any of it. I can't stand that lady. Alright, so now we have to go back to Kalimdor and go to Mount Hyjal. Alright, let's just, let's cut the time a bit here. This is going to take us a little bit. It's going to take me just a bit to get there. Especially after the changes to the portals. If I was a druid, I could just use the Dreamway to go straight to Mount Hyjal. But we're not doing this on my druid, we're doing this on my shaman. But fortunately, because I'm on the Horde, I can just go straight to Orgrimmar and then be able to go not too far away from Mount Hyjal. Alright. Okay, so... So, of course, Hyjal is up there. Just a reminder, yeah, Mount Hyjal is right here, so it's not too far away from Orgrimmar. I've done this flight here a number of times, wanting to go to the Firelands raid. I have to be careful here because for some reason there are invisible walls that my mount will fly into while trying just to simply go there. Let's see if I run into... My mount will give me an idea if I run into any invisible walls here. By the way, I think it used to be that even from over here, you could actually see the sword in Silithus. It's way over there, obviously. Like, just to give you some context, Orgrimmar's over here, Silithus is down here. And I think when this first came out, like the first patch where you would do the raid and then the sword would be visible, if I recall, it used to be visible from way back there, or from way over here. I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not. I just know that the rendering vision of the sword was quite a long ways away. Not so much now, but it was supposed to really help build up the whole, like, oh my goodness, look at how devastating this wound is in Silithus. There's the burning, not the burning throne, I went through that in Antorus. The Throne of Flame, yeah. At some point I will move that up on the agenda for farming the mounts. Once I'm done focusing on some of the other ones I'm farming. I don't want to farm too many at once, like slowly like one at a time, but I will get those mounts from Firelands at some point. So, if you're curious or wondering, why does Illidan want us to take this to the Well of Eternity in Mount Hyjal, remember, he kind of helped create it. So, it obviously means something to him. And there it is. The Well of Eternity. Nordrassil. This incredible little body of water. Little body of water of power is what... And there's Ysera. That's kind of funny. May she rest in peace, I guess. Or sleep in peace in the Emerald Dream. What a... Oh, nice little bench for us to put the crystal on. Remember, this is what Sargeras and Archimonde and such were after, because this is what could have allowed Sargeras to manifest on Azeroth. This is what we had to defend and protect all this time. Which, a number of times, is why Illidan resorted to some of the measures that he did. As he said in those messages, any of the things that he did was all for one purpose, to save Azeroth from the Legion, because he found out about the truth of the Legion and the kind of threat they were super early on, very early on. That glimpse you saw of when Sargeras burned his eyes and showed him the truth of the power of the Legion, that's when Illidan realized, I can't compromise or, take half measures or anything. I have to resort to anything to stop them from destroying our world. And so, by placing this crystal here, this will be the end of this task that Illidan entrusted to us. And of course, who cares more about Illidan than the players? At least players like myself who actually like Illidan. There are many players I know, they did not like Illidan. But I thought he was awesome. He was one of my absolute favorite characters. Thought he was just great. And now... we say our goodbye.
The Well of Eternity. I am not one for sentiment, but if anything embodies my commitment to Azeroth, it is the font of power I created so long ago. But enough dwelling on the past. The crystal I left for you to find holds not 2 messages, but 3. The last is for you, champion. You
For me?
have proven your commitment to Azeroth. Your dedication, your sacrifice, rivals my own. But more will be asked of you. So much more.
Oh,
Even now, enemies gather, and the shadows grow darker. From this day forward, the defense of our world, of all we hold dear, rests with you.
Goodbye, Illidan. We'll never forget you, and we will miss you. After bringing Illidan's crystal to the Well of Eternity, you feel a sense of satisfaction, as if a circle is now completed. Whether he was a hero or a betrayer, both or neither, Illidan has a duty to fulfill, as do you. For him to think that what we have done was equal, saying that our dedication and sacrifice rivaled his own, that's saying something. That says a lot. He gave up so much of himself to say, and he saved the world numerous times. What he did in Warcraft 3, when he, yes, by absorbing the Skull of Gul'dan, he did take on a very dark power that risked corrupting himself. But that action, which he used it to defeat Tichondrius, that ended up saving Azeroth. Because that made it where Archimonde didn't have nearly as much of the Scourge to help against Mount Hyjal than he could have. Because with Tichondrius gone, the control of the Scourge shifted back to the Lich King, who called many of them away. And so Archimonde only had a portion of the Scourge to help in that assault against Mount Hyjal. So Illidan and his actions ended up helping us save the world that day against Archimonde. And then, of course, think of some of the other things that he did. And Burning Crusade, of course, messes up, but fortunately, this expansion and the book Illidan actually showed that there were things that he did which ended up helping lead to us being able to win. Sending the Illidari to get the Sargerite Keystone, which allowed us to get to Argus, which we had to go to, otherwise we never would have won. That guy saved the world numerous times. And now, knowing that he's never going to come back, that pretty much the rest of his existence is going to be Sargeras' jailer, which is awesome. Good for him. I know that's what he wanted. You saw in the cinematic in the last video that when he saw Sargeras there, he lit up his blade and he said, "At last." Like, he was going to get ready to actually fight him, which he's been dying for that fight. And, warning us about possible future threats, saying enemies gather and the shadows grow darker. Perhaps he had a feeling that N'Zoth was out there, still planning and plotting and scheming, since he's now becoming kind of relevant in BFA. But that will be for another time. I did actually kind of consider, after this, heading on over to Silithus and showing you guys the sword, but honestly, I think that's actually better for when we start up BFA. This essentially is the end of the Legion expansion. It is true that there is a whole quest line in Silithus that you could do after the sword gets plunged there by Sargeras. There's also a couple of cutscenes that you can see, one on each faction, where we gather, like on the Horde side, we are in the Gramash Hold, like the leaders gather. Bane gives a toast to victory, that we were able to defeat the Legion with everyone there. And then Gallywix wants to talk to Sylvanas in private and shows her the azurite from the sword that's being gathered there, showing that he's been sending goblins over to harvest it. And we also see that, and they're like, "Oh, the Alliance knows nothing of this." He's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I got people on it." And then we see, of course, that Spy Master Shaw has people there watching. And then we also see on the Alliance side, Anduin is giving a eulogy for, of course, his father, Varian. And then Shaw shows up wanting to talk to both Anduin and Greymane, telling them about, well, he doesn't know what the Azurite is. He just gives him a shard of it, and Anduin's like, "What is this?" And Shaw goes, "We don't know." And then it shows the same thing. So apparently Ysera is talking. Oh, wait. Are they doing... Oh, I was like, what is she talking about? Oh. That must be from that quest involving Thrall, when we had to try and save him. Anyway, ignore that. Ignore that. But I personally kind of wanted this to be the ending point. That's kind of why I want to let the last image of us doing Legion being us sitting here on this bench at the Well of Eternity where we've placed the crystal, thinking one last time of Illidan, saying goodbye for good. I don't think they should. There's a part of me that wants him to come back, because you never want to say goodbye to some of your favorite characters, but it feels appropriate that this is how his story comes to an end. And the fact that he gave his final goodbyes to Malfear and Tyrande, entrusted that to us, and then giving us a final message, entrusting the defense of this world to us. I think that's pretty awesome. So this is going to effectively mark the end of the Legion expansion. And when we come back, oh boy, we will pretty much be starting the story of BFA with the... Unfortunately, I cannot show you guys the prologue event that happened, which was the burning of Teldrassil. That was a timed event that you had to experience on either side. I did it because I wanted to get the mounts that were involved. You got a mount on each faction. I really wish there was a way I could be able to show you that other than simply just showing you guys the cutscene that plays, which that's what I may end up doing. I think what I may do is I may show you guys the Warbringers Sylvanas cinematic, and then I will cut us to starting up the battle for Lordaeron, because it's hard to not want to, show that. Heck, I may even show you guys the old soldier cinematic involving Sourfang, because there's such nice lead-ups into that. I don't think I would need to show you guys the main BFA cinematic, because I already showed that to you guys in an earlier video, but who knows. It may depend on how I feel like how thematically I want to do this. But more than likely, we will be doing the Battle for Lordaeron to start up Battle for Azeroth, which I feel like we already just went through in the Antorus Burning Throne, but anyway, that's pretty much where we're going to be doing going forward, but I'm kind of okay with it because I'm actually looking forward to going into Zandalar, but that will be for another time. I hope you guys have enjoyed this large portion of the playthrough where we've been doing a lot of the stuff in Legion, but, it's become one of my favorite expansions in this game, and I hope you guys will stick around to see me go check out the BFA expansion. Stay tuned.